Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. Join us as we talk about all things radio controlled. And now, your host,
Folks, this man, he is the king.
Mr. CCXRC himself, Tony CC.
Hey, what is going on, you guys? Welcome to the While My Batteries Charge podcast. I forgot to start the recording for the actual podcast, but it's going now, and I got to do some editing in the after, so that'll be fun. Man, so much to talk about, you guys, and I know that a lot of you have been asking when another podcast is going to come out, and so I've just been trying to squeeze it in, and I need to squeeze it in because it's just going to get busier as the month goes on. So we're going to squeeze one in today because that's all I got. Heading out to Proline by the Fire on Wednesday. So today and tomorrow to get ready and, finish up all the videos and stuff that I'm trying to work on. And I won't finish them all, but I'll maybe get the Great Lakes Gauntlet one done today. Because after this, I'm going to sit down and start working on that because I'm so far behind on videos. So the new release videos take precedent over everything else because they got deadlines. And everything else gets pushed behind. So, anyway, we're going to do this. We're doing it as a live stream again, just so that we can get this out for people that do want to watch as a video. And I will look in the comments some, but not respond too much to them as I would in a live stream, as this is more just kind of toward the people that listen as a podcast and are getting the information through it that way. So, I want to make sure that the people in the comments know that I might be doing that. I will be looking if you guys are definitely helping out with stuff or there's a pertinent question that needs to be answered. I will address it. So, and I thank you guys for tuning in to this live. And we're going to see how it goes as we kind of develop it as a live stream and podcast at the same time. It's just an easier way to have a deliverable for video. So, that said, let's get into this thing. Tons of new releases we're going to talk about from the NRHSA event that just happened in Las Vegas. I did not go to it, but there was a lot of coverage from it, and that was fantastic. We'll talk about the first monster truck race that I hosted through the West Michigan RC Monster Truck Group and how that went. And there's already a second one scheduled for November 1st, so that's another thing that I'm going to be working on this month as we're kind of getting into the racing scene and trying to build that and promote that here. And then last, I will talk about Proline by the Fire stuff. So there's not a lot of that to talk about, but starting with the new releases for those that are listening and want to get that kind of info, then we'll talk about monster truck racing and Proline by the Fire. All right, new releases. Wow, they kept me busy, I will say. And I don't even have one of them on my list here. I'm going to add it. I'm going to add it right now. I can't believe I almost forgot this one. The mullet is the one I'm adding. I was just going through the new releases. I was mainly thinking of the stuff that just happened this past week, but that they announced it a little bit before the event, and so it wasn't front of mind. So, all right, let's talk about some of these new releases. The first one that came out was the Red Cat Ascent, and this was since the last time that we've done a podcast. And there may have been a couple other ones. These are ones that I definitely know about and have spent time looking into. And the Red Cat Ascent Apex, we've talked about this on some other stuff, is absolutely amazing. 18th scale, brushless, comp oriented, like straight away carbon fiber chassis. They kind of have done it all in this rig here. They widened it, which I don't love because when I think of comps, I think of gates and I think you don't want to be wide. So, I would have stayed hopefully as wide as the other 18 scale trucks. This is considerably wider. You can tuck it a little bit with different wheels. These wheels also, the offset on them make it even wider than the axles. So you have lots of capability if you don't have gates. You can crawl over almost anything. My buddies and I were talking. Dana, one of the things he said when he noticed it was maybe they had to go wider because of the shocks, and the other chassis taper, and they couldn't with the carbon fiber chassis taper it in. And so maybe for the ability to mount the shocks properly to the axles, that might have been it for geometry. Again, I don't know, but it definitely, you can see if you're watching online, it's pretty wide. I think it's plus 8 millimeters longer than their other axles. It is high steer, so you do get tons of steering, which is great. But some people may still want to go with the Power Wagon just for the narrower axles. It really, it's going to come down to performance, and does the extra performance help you get through the gates better, even though you're wider? I don't know. But just from a driving perspective, handles great. Tires actually do really good. Like, I was kind of shocked at how well the tires did. And so I've tried other wheels with it, and I think it needed a little bit more weight. And so we ran some wheels that Travis lent me that had brass rings in them and added quite a bit of weight. I think it was like 43 or 47 grams of weight or something like that. It almost doubled the weight of the truck. It felt like it didn't, but it felt considerably heavier. And I think that weight might have been per wheel. I don't even know. But it was heavy. So, and that helped a ton, but his tires weren't as good as the stock ones. So I would have probably, if I was building it, taken the stock wheels or tires off of those, because those are beadlock wheels that it comes with that are plastic, and put them on the narrower offset wheels. But they do have brass upgrades coming out for it. And yeah, I mean, it's pretty awesome what they came up with. 23% overall overdrive. Because they've got 11.3 in the front, 11 overdrive, and then 11.7 underdrive in the rear, totaling up to 23% overdrive. So it steers like crazy. It comes with a 3S battery. It's a pretty big game changer for 18 scale. Because again, I haven't found an 18 scale that I've really liked to comp until the Red Cat came out. And there are upgrades for them, and you can make them more capable, but I just enjoy the 24 scale over it. Then the Ascent 18 came out, and I was like, okay, I can get into this. And then they just keep developing it more and more and more and more. And it's like, wow, okay, 18 scale is going somewhere now for me for the first time. And actually, FureTech has something new coming as well. I just saw Cape Crawlers just posted a video of one that landed with him, and it's a brushless one. Need to get a little quick drink of coffee here. Still morning, still drinking my coffee, but I got something kind of, as I'm talking, just kind of working down into my throat there. But yeah, so they killed it. The radio is really good. It is harder to one-handed steer, and I actually got a lot of flack, a lot of people on my latest video when I did the tire change, saying how jerky I was driving and, how not smooth. And couple reasons. One, I was really rushing. I didn't have long to be there. I just shot a mullet video, which is the one that I said I forgot to add in here as a new release. But I run that. The battery had died on the Ascent, so I had to charge it, which put me behind. Anyway, I knew the track. I knew where the harder parts were too. So I was kind of speeding through some of the spots that were like, okay, I'm just trying to get to where those obstacles are. But also I was driving it one-handed, and with it, it's a little bit harder to hold and do it one-handed. But yeah. So there's brass parts coming already that they're showing here on the website that you'll be able to get for this. Really, really solid option from Red Cat. And I think they're already selling probably like crazy. $250. Pretty decent price considering the upgrades that it has with the Hobbywing brushless system in it, and the steering servo actually was pretty good for a stock steering servo. Yeah, overall, I like their shocks. I've liked them on all their other trucks. I think it's a decent performer. And yeah, say what you will. It's tough. None of them are apples to apples. It's like apples to oranges with all of these because the width changes. And so lines that you could make that are easier, narrower, might not be makeable with this because it's wider, and it's tough. I know 24 Yep did a review with his and wasn't getting it to climb some of his stuff. And you're saying that they were custom making them for a lot cheaper that were performing better. And you can, I mean, if you know how to set up a truck and you can get it. And again, everyone's going to put different weight biases on them. They're going to slam them different. And so depending on what your terrain is, if you need the high clearance, this has tons of clearance, but it comes at, it having a high center of gravity. So it's going to tip over backwards more. So if your terrain has a lot of that kind of stuff, that's going to flip you over, it may not be for you. You've got to set any truck up to the terrain that you're going to run. So yeah, that's all I'll say to that. It does really, really, really great though. Looks a little silly because a 24 scale body, like if you were to put this body up against a 24 scale, it's the same size cab. So it's not running an 18 scale body, but it's running 18 scale axles basically, because you can't really go by chassis or whatever because it's such a short comp chassis. So at this point, you're going by the wheels, tires, and calling it 18 scale. But the actual truck itself is 20. These companies make it so stupid. Like it really is stupid how they scale these out and do stuff with them, because this would technically, if you went by body, be a 24 scale size truck with other axles stuck under it. So it gets really weird. But that's not a negative. You can't, it's almost impossible to scale these things out anymore. Take the Traxxas approach, just call it a mini. Stop giving scales, because all people are going to do is say it's not. But yeah, it just makes it tough when you're trying to class things out. And I guess at that point, it's got to be by axle and what it's being sold as. Yeah, or you got to just get specific and say these certain brands are allowed in. I don't know. It's getting weird out there. All right, next up, this is something I absolutely loved, and that is the Axial SCX30. I was excited about it from the moment I heard about it. I didn't hear about it super ahead of it being announced, or even receiving it in the mail, but I did hear about it through some of the stuff that I will be doing with Pull Line by the Fire and different things like that. And that was going to be something that'll be there that I could film, not knowing that I was even going to get one, but I ended up getting one to do a review on, which has been super awesome. And I'll talk to that maybe even a little bit, coming back into this, and having one, not only people start watching again, and the subscriber count's been growing like crazy on YouTube for some reason, more than ever. It's been a faster thing in this last 6 months that I've been back doing it. It's been a pretty exponentially larger amount of subscribers joining. And then even some of the companies then, coming back behind me and supporting me has been pretty cool. So a big, huge thank you out to everybody, all of you guys here in the chat. And yes, Red Cat is killing it right now. Crazy Cloud Brothers. And yeah, Mike, scale doesn't matter much. But yeah, so it's been cool. But anyway, so I heard about this and I was like, I think I could get behind this. I haven't seen it, and I'm just kind of, there's part of me wondering what they're going to do. Are they going to go hard body? Are they going to go Lexan again? All of these are unknowns. I just know that there's something small coming. And then when I saw the pictures come in, when I found out that I was going to be getting one, I was like, holy cow, this looks amazing. They nailed it with the body designs. And I got the Jeep ones. So we'll click into the Bronco ones, because I didn't get that, but I definitely need to put one on order. It looks fantastic, and it comes in blue and gray for the Bronco. I don't know which one I'd get. I kind of like the blue with white wheels, but the gray with the black wheels looks fantastic too. Again, they're just the detail that they're able to get by making it a hard body is insane. And then the performance they were able to get out of it, even with it still being a hard body, is even more impressive to me. Because, the SCX24, even though it's one of my favorite trucks, RCs to work on, and I have so many of them. I probably have like 20 of them. I can't stop buying them and building them and working on them. So we just keep working on things and keep having fun with them. And then this came out, but they weren't super capable. Like, I've actually got one here on my desk that I've done some upgrading to. And so I lowered it by changing the shock angles and putting smaller tires on it. I think one of the biggest issues with the SX24 is whoever decides on the tire size for them, they're just way oversized. And a lot of it is in tire, not even in wheel. There's just so much tire, and they just roll over. It makes the center of gravity higher if they don't even fit in the wheel wells, so they rub. It's kind of annoying. And this is a truck I like. So I'm saying these negatives about a truck I really, really like. But man, a lot of those things aren't the case with the SCX30. Yes, it's still going to tip over, especially if you go over some of the things that you would try to with bigger trucks. But if you find the stuff that's scale to it, it is insane what it's capable of. The biggest thing to learn is like the holes. Where there's holes that were doable before, those will just suck the truck up. But if you don't have things with a lot of deep holes or whatever, and you've got different terrain, and you can, oh man, it is super, super fun to drive. And like on my personal indoor course, it's super, I'm saying super a lot, but it's really great to drive because it doesn't have any holes, and there's a lot of spots where your tire, even if it does drop in, will catch on something and keep it from completely tipping. But you can still tip it if you're driving just stupid. So things that they did with this, I think the scale tires are really great. The page isn't loading for some reason. The scale size of the tires works really great for it. They fit within, wow. Okay, it's just their videos aren't working. They did the angled skid, but they also have the shocks and the drive shafts elevated into where they enter into the axles, so that keeps it really high clearance. I don't know. They weighted it way different than they did, and also the shocks have a little bit of oil in them. There's an O-ring in it, and it's like a grease, and it helps them just be super smooth. Everything about it just kind of handles a little bit better than the SCX24. Like they did little things. So there's things where I'm like, man, if they would do that with the SCX24, it would be so much nicer. I feel like they need to do something with the SCX24 axles at this point. Anyway, I don't mind the worm gears. I love them. I think they need to find a way to do better steering, because that's when we upgrade these now. We used to keep axles and we used to keep transmissions, but then you'd upgrade like shocks, electronics, chassis, all that. Now you maybe keep the transmission, and then everything else is aftermarket. And so I would think that if they could get the axles to where people would keep them, it's a much stronger selling point for it. Because at this point, it's like, I'll probably just buy a transmission and then buy everything aftermarket. And I won't even start with one of the actual cars as a starting point. So I think that if they do something to make the starting point a little better, where you can get it, like I think that they did it with this truck. Like, it's a great starting point. So if you went to Lexan, so Proline's already got Lexan bodies, new wheels and tires coming out. They mentioned in their video they're going to have a wider axle also option for these, which again, for people like me, not really what I would want is wider axles. But yeah, got a couple new members that just joined. Thank you guys. C-Death 1313 and Osborne RC. Thank you guys. But yeah, so I think it's a really solid release. I think we're going to see a big aftermarket for these as well. So again, I think even if we can get a little more steering with these, because it definitely opens up our tabletop courses because of how small they are. I mean, they fit in the palm of your hand. They fit on your iPhone. They're considerably smaller. And I know there's a lot of people that have mentioned, why did they do this? It's a big miss. They should have done 18 scale. And I've answered this a lot of times. Here's my answer to that. Axial basically created the mini craze with 24 scale. There wasn't one. There wasn't a craze. The Barrage had been out by ECX. RC four-wheel drive it had a mini. They just weren't that great. The SCX 24 at the time was a little better, and then when you upgrade it with a few things available, it's like, okay, now we could do some indoor stuff. And then it just kept getting better and better and better and more upgrades, and people went nuts. And then like it created this whole market. And then everybody else came out with 18 scale instead of 24 scale, and they weren't that much better. And some people are like, oh, they did it so they could have this improvement in the axles or the whatever, but they weren't better in my opinion. So it's so close in size, and that's what I'm saying. Like the Red Cat is saying it's 18 scale, but the body is 24 scale. I prefer the smaller anyway for using indoors. Like the closer you get to 10 scale, like when they came out with 12 scale, it's like, why not just have 10 scale? There's already courses built for it, and that's the standard. And then you just went a little bit smaller. If you're going to go smaller, go way smaller. And the same thing with Axial, already having a standard and like huge market for the SCX 24 to just go to 18, where when you see them side by side, there's not a considerable difference between an 18 and a 24. It's like, why would they do that? Why, and why would they make it a confusing thing in their own market? It's too close in size. So going with the 30th scale, in my opinion, was the right move. It keeps it differentiated in their product size and their lineup. And as much as people say the UTB 18 is an 18th scale, blah, 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 it's a smarter size differentiation than a typical 18th scale to their 24 scale. But so that, even in my opinion, it's much smaller than 10 scale. It's big enough. It's bigger than the 24 scale. Is it 1/16 scale? Probably, but it's definitely between them, and the sizing is better for their 18th scale. I don't think they need to jump in that 18 scale market that nobody until Red Cat has really put anything worth really thinking about, at least for the comp thing. There's some pretty cool trail rigs and show trucks and different things like that. The FMS stuff's really pretty, whatever. But I just haven't found it to be something where they get developed into the comp stuff quite like what we do. Red Cat also dropped a super micro, a sub micro, and they did the 1/32nd scale of their Ascent. And Work Hard RC had a video of it at the event. That was, I think, the first stuff that dropped on it. Looks pretty interesting as well. Their 32nd scale, however, is larger than the 1/30th scale or SCX 30. So again, the scale thing's kind of an interesting mixed bag when we scale things. So I would say that the because even the 1/28th scale by Kyosho feels quite a bit bigger than the SCX 30. So in that size range, it gets a little interesting. He did a good video, though. I recommend checking it out if you want to see it. And I hadn't heard his video stuff before, but really enjoyed it and subscribed because of it. So there it is. Oh, and it shows I'm subscribed. After that, not RC related, we had not RC, still RC related, but not an RC car. Is the Big Air Triple RC ramp set from Proline. And these are something we can all get behind, I think. Trying to find ramps has become very hard. Companies will do it, then they'll disappear. They'll sell out. Then you wait. Are they going to come back in? It's a hard market because they're big to ship. They can get heavy. Yeah, it's just tough. So there was those 1080 ramps. And then back in the day for like skateboards or BMX, and we got them because we'd usually buy them used or find them on the side of the road being thrown away or whatever. People didn't want to keep storing them. But you need several of them if you're going to RC with them. I mean, 10 scale is way easier to line up two of them side by side than to just line up one. But to just buy one that big, again, it gets expensive. And well, Proline's released this Big Air triple ramp set, and I just did a video on it. They're pretty cool. And it has like a little roller set and then two different kind of kickers, and one will get you into backflips. They say they're up to 10 scale. So like Gorgons and Quakes should be usable on these. I unfortunately broke my Quake. I broke one of the steering arms, so I haven't been able to test it yet. And I ordered the wrong replacement link set or whatever. And so I now have the right ones coming, but it's going to be several days before I get it so I can do a test. Although I do have the FMS monster truck I could hit it with, which is 10 scale as well. Anyway, they show different things sitting in on their video. You can check it out. I'm not gonna sit on it too long and talk about it. Man, maybe it's my my browser that's keeping the videos from connecting, because it's multiple different pages that are refusing to show the YouTube videos. But Proline had a bunch of stuff that came out. They've got these Pro Spec shocks for the SCX30. Here's their Coyote bodies that they have for the SCX30, so you can get a little narrower, lighter weight. If you take off the body on it is almost as heavy as the rest of the truck. It's really heavy. So if you want to get a little bit more capable, just swap these out. They've got these new tires and stuff for the Gorgon Quake Groms, and these Dreadnought tires. We run them on the LMTs, and those work great. They've got some pre-painted school bus body and different bodies for the the Groms as well, for the Quake and the Gorgon. But then they did these, which I actually have a couple on my bench back there, which are these Mojave. Arma Mojave Groms are one of my favorite RCs on the market right now. They're just cool. They're easy to run. They're fast. They're fun. They're small. You can use them in a small space, use them in a driveway, use them in a front yard, backyard. If you don't have a huge backyard, they just work great. And these new bodies are pre-painted. They look pretty sick for $40. I mean, it's tough to buy a body if their bodies are coming at $28 and then buy paint and paint it for that amount. So it's a pretty good deal if you ask me, and the paint jobs look pretty sick. So, but yeah, they've got different lengths shocks for the SCX30. I should mention that. And then they've got this cool brunt body for the Quake, which when it's painted up in here, looks really cool. I can see some people using this to do some interesting stuff. But I dig it. Hey, look at, they're showing their tires off on it too. It's gonna be, and those are 4-wheel drive. And actually, that's the next thing to talk about is these two trucks, is the Quake Grom and Gorgon Grom. I have the Gorgon Grom, and it's fantastic. It's probably my second favorite of the Groms to the Mojave. And I think that's probably because of the brushless nature of the Mojaves and just the speed of it. But we also race them and bump them into each other. And so for that, it's fun. These are really stellar 4-wheel drive. I definitely dig it more than like the Granite, whatever. I just like the higher center of gravity that they did with it. Has more of a monster truck feel. It is independent suspension, so it makes certain tricks a little harder, like the backflips off of backflip ramps and all that, because the suspension compresses and you get some body slap instead of it having solid axles that don't have that same kind of pop, where the suspension actually does, where it works is different. And so it's a completely different handling and feeling, which means these actually handle and drive better than the Mini LMT. They stay truer and straighter. There's a lot of positives about it, but for like some of the freestyle stuff, it does make it more difficult because it changes the way that they interact with the ramp. But they soak up jumps, they land awesome, they drive awesome, wheelies are super great. All of it's super fun about these. I'm going to get a Quake. I have the Gorgon, but I want one of the truck style ones, and the green, of course, is my jam. So we're going to be getting one of those green Quakes here. I just saw one of the guys, Joshua Berry, who raced with us this past weekend, was in here for a second. So, Oh, I gotta add a couple more I didn't even add in here. There are some other new releases. I didn't write down the HPI Wheelie King releases. I'm gonna talk a little bit about that. I haven't seen a ton of details on it, so we'll see if they have it listed out again. Because they had two different sizes of it at the NRHSA, and it was running the Big Kahuna body. So the scaling on them is a little different than what we are running in our classes now, but I think that it's honestly will probably end up being a more of a realistic 2.2 class, which I would like to see, because we'll talk about that when we get to monster truck racing, because the choosing how to do classes and all that, it's interesting. It's interesting. And these are one of them where I wonder, do we open up a class for these as minis? The price point on them is great. It's under $200. You can get out there. They're as fast as the LMT minis. It wouldn't be allowed to race with those, but it could be its own class if people wanted to race them. I really enjoy the minis. We had a ton of fun with it. These are actually easier to drive for people. The price being low, it's just one more class to race, and it's one of those like. But you could also get the two-wheel drive version of it and race in the two-wheel drive monster class for about the same amount of money. And so it's not necessarily, we don't need it for low cost of entry for the racing. And it's not solid axle. I don't know how many non-solid axle kind of trucks I want to have. But yeah, all of those are kind of things to consider, because we already have the Grom and Quakes racing in the larger size. And that's our cheap entry point one. And then the rest is really trying to get people into doing the more scale ones, which is what I would prefer it to be. So, but we'll talk about that when we get into it. Just for bashing, just for monster truck fun, these are awesome. The 4-wheel drive on them is amazing. I kind of would love to see if they came out with a 4-wheel drive version of the bigger ones, because I love the 2-wheel drive. It's super fun. But there's, it's a different handling for sure than 4-wheel drive. And there's times when I just want to go out and have fun. I want the 2-wheel drive, but like for racing and stuff, it gets tricky. They can be a handful. I'll tell you what. So yes, let's talk. I don't have any images, per se right now of the, I just lost my setup that I'd built. Whoops. Don't like StreamYard sometimes. There it is. Because of the way that they want you to change the scenes now. So HPI Wheelie King. Yes, we just saw it at the NRHSA event, which is the National Retail Hobby Shop Association. I have it written down. NRHSA, because I was doing it wrong. NRHSA, National Retail Hobby Stores Association. I've seen other videos that have it the other way, where it's NHRSA, National Hobby Retail Stores Association. And so it got confusing to me. But when I looked up the actual event, it was NRHSA. So there was a question, and so I will get to it. That was a good question, and it was on topic with the new releases. HPI looks to have re-released their Wheelie Kings in the two sizes. And back in the monster truck racing days, those were an early one that a lot of people were racing. And it was so some of them were talking about it. It doesn't seem to be very updated. So in the current field, it would be tough to run that if you were to put 2.2s on it, or I think it comes with 2.2 wheels already, and race it against, say, LMTs with 2.2 wheels and tires on it. So that's where the racing stuff gets kind of weird, is we have all these classes which are just the same trucks with different tires and wheels on them. So you're supposedly running a smaller truck because you're doing different tire sizes and wheel sizes, but the scale of the truck is the same. It just is the wheels and tires change. which I guess is, the size of Bigfoot didn't change, right? They just changed wheels and tires to go bigger. So I do understand it from that standpoint. It just makes it an interesting class when, everybody's just racing the same trucks, but switching out the tires and all that. Yes, Harley Designs and Scalability Skills have an hour-long walk around. They show a ton of the stuff. RC Driver has one. Mark Santa Maria has one. There's quite a few good videos showing the new stuff that's coming out, which has been really great. And so it's a big kahuna body. I dig that. I just think it's going to be hard to, because a smaller truck, compete against some of these other ones. I think that's my thought on it, especially with it being a more dated kind of platform. So if I were to do it, if I were to have a 2.2 class, I would probably try to make it so that it would be more like those Jegs ones and the Sen Racing ones that came out a while back ago that are smaller in scale, like 12 scale, and the Wheelie Kings and all of that, where it's an actual different scale of trucks. But that gets tough, like how many people are going to get that have them? And at least when you just change wheels and tires to the bigger truck, people just do that and they don't have to invest in another whole truck and platform. But it also, it gets weird. It gets weird. Wheelie Kings have a funky steering setup. Yep. As do the Sens. So it's definitely not competing in the same realm as a fully decked out, customized race truck with 2.2 tires on it. So it gets tough to please everybody and do it all. So, yeah, I don't know what I would do with that truck at this point, day and age, other than have it look fun and bash around with it, because it would be a tough thing to get started with the racing in. I was just looking at the sales actually at Horizon Hobby, so that's why this is up. They did the Losi 5Ts for $1,000. That was a huge sale. They got the motorcycles now for $450, $150 off. Pretty good sale on those. The other big thing that was announced was the X Monster chassis. I honestly thought this was AI when people were posting pictures of it, because the photos kind of look like AI generated, like the bodies and the lighting on it and all that. It looks like computer renderings of things to me on all of them. So it looks pretty cool though. I'm not going to lie. And they have it in different bodies, shapes. Like, see, again, this just looks kind of AI to me. The way that the generated image of the bodies turned out. But it's just the editing on it is my guess. Interesting pricing. It costs the same amount as an X Max with no body. I'm guessing the wheels and tires just cost that much more. So even though the other one had wheels and tires on it, the molding or making of these must be considerably more expensive than the other wheels and tires, because that's $1,099 is the price of an X Max ready to go. Body, tires, everything. This one, they're selling the chassis for it without a body, so you can then choose which body you want for it and then finish it up. But the bodies are $200, so you're looking at $1,300 for this truck, which is interesting. It's also an interesting way to sell the truck. I wonder why they didn't do this with the X Maxes and all that, because certain colors are going to sell better than others, and to have them boxed and have the hobby shops have, anyway, they could buy just this and then choose which color body they wanted if they just had a couple on. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about the sales model of it. It's interesting. The Nissan Pathfinder was also announced. Yeah, it's these gradients of the light on here that just kind of look AI generated to me, but these look more realistic. Some of these, that looks like a photo. Yeah, most of those look more realistic to me. There's a little bit of the grain on it and whatever, but they must have just a huge, awesome light. But yeah, there was something about this body that just looks too good. But I love the idea of a Bigfoot racing stripe on X-Max with Chevron tires. Yeah, that's that thing's pretty sweet looking. So KLRC123 says they lived in Hampton Roads and loved Debbie's RC World. That's the area I was in, man. Yeah, we're here in West Michigan now in Grand Rapids, and that's where we're starting the RC Monster Truck, West Michigan RC Monster Truck group, which is next. Oh, we lost it. Oh, now I'm having to see myself. What happened? Why did it reset? All right, so West Michigan RC Monster Trucks. We just had our first race. We'll jump into that. I think I'm done with the, let me look through the releases. Red Cat Ascent. Oh, Vanquish Mullet. Vanquish just had their mullet drop to mixed reviews from the online, the online peoples. It's interesting how that happens. You know, sometimes people just jump in and are all positive, and then usually you get a sprinkling. This one, I don't even know what it's about, but something with the rear axle. I don't know enough about how all the gear ratios and the different things work, but yeah, there's something about the rear axle and the angle, and I don't even know. I thought it handled great. I didn't have any issue with it. I thought it was fantastic. I love these stands that they made for it with the solo cups and the briefcases for the photo art and all that. I dig the look of the body. I really like the look of the body. And the overall look of the entire truck. I thought it built really well. I did lose a shot clip in building it. This is what I came back from the Great Lakes Gauntlet do. I had to build this right when I got back and have it ready for Tuesday. So we had a huge weekend, all that, and then I came back Sunday night and just started building. And they did get it to me ahead of time, but I was working so much on getting stuff ready for the Gauntlet that I couldn't take the time to work on it then. So once that was behind me, I was like, all right, all hands on deck. I got to just hammer down on this thing, build it, paint it, get video of it, run it. I thought I was going to be in trouble because I lost an E-clip, and I did not know that there were extra spare E-clips in the spare parts bag. If I would have gone through, instead of I was going step by step and doing bags by step, I should have looked and seen that there's a spare parts bag. Transmission is awesome to build. I really like their transmission. Yeah, they say it's performance focus. That's a nice shot of Matt right there. He's looking pretty rad. Looks like he bought maybe the same kit I bought on Amazon for the hair. Anyway, most of the people that drove it really liked it. There's people that are looking at it online, and I don't know if it's because the links go below the clearance of the high clearance. I don't know. It did really good. What's going on, Nick? Mike, I did have to order the wig for it. So we did a King of RC, of course, on this one because of the mullet theme, and had fun driving it. It's a great rig, and I thought their wheels and tires they sent with it worked really well as well. So, you never know. I definitely want to put the Luis RC tires on it and give that a go. I've been really digging those gravel stage tires But they would probably body rub on this pretty good. All right, so I think that was everything. So I almost missed that one again. So I missed it because I didn't have it in a tab. I missed it when I was doing it because I'd done it a couple weeks ago. But yeah, we hadn't talked about it on a podcast yet. So there, we talked about it. So new releases: the Ascent 18, the Vanquish Mullet, the SCX 30, the Ascent 132nd, the Pro Line Big Air ramps. They've got the bodies for the Mojave, the Gorgon and Quake Groms, HPI Wheelie Kings, which you guys brought up, Traxxas Bigfoot X Monsters, and the Pathfinder. And Sin Racing had some stuff. And that you got to watch the videos to see this, because I've tried to find images of it and there aren't. And I couldn't pull something together quick enough because I'd have to scrub through videos to find it. But of the they have like a Ford Ranger truck coming and a couple of other things. So Sin is making some moves right now, and it's cool to see. So I'm digging that. All right, so let's talk about the monster truck racing. That's kind of what I want to talk about anyway. And wow, we're 46 minutes into this one already, and we haven't even talked about it really. So we had the first. I haven't counted people. I haven't, it's been busy since since we got back from it. We showed up. My son and I got there at 7:45 to Walter RC Park to start setting up, because people are going to start showing up at 9 for registration, with the hopes of starting at 10, which we pretty much did. And then we went till about 4:15, 4:30. We were out of there at 5. But by the time I got home, and then yesterday, I haven't really had time to go through everything and go over numbers and go through the spreadsheets or the brackets and all that. I have to hope, if I don't do it before I get on my flight to Pearl Bed Fire, I will probably do it on the flight, because I have it all on my iPad and I could do that pretty easily. But we had a good crew. We had a great turnout for the first race. Not everybody, and I knew this from the beginning when I got here. So when I first moved to Michigan, I was in one of the local hobby shops here, Riders, and I saw that they had some of the monster trucks on for sale there. And, they're talking to me about my videos and some different stuff. And, I mentioned that because I think that was right after we did I don't remember if it was the mini ones, or I think it was the mini ones. So I had to go down for the minis, and then I had to go back. I had to go down for the mud trucks from here. It might have been, I don't remember. I can't remember the order. But anyway, we were talking about it, and they were just like, yeah, they don't sell up here. I'm like, what? People don't buy the LMTs up here? Like, these things are amazing. We sold tons of them in Virginia. It's because we had racing in Virginia. People would see us racing in the parking lots, and they'd be interested in them. They'd go in and they'd buy them because they could see how fun they were. Well, they don't have things like that here, and so there's not the same market for them to be bought, which is crazy because there's so many monster truck shows that happen in Michigan. We got, Monster Truck Throwdown, and they do all the fairs all summer. There's monster truck racing everywhere up here. Then you get Monster Jam rolls through. They do Detroit, they do Grand Rapids, do Indianapolis, which isn't far from here. So there's tons of options to see it, but there are also gearheads here. There's racetracks everywhere in Michigan. Mud trucks are, running lots of places here. And it just kind of blew my mind that it wasn't a thing that sold well. Anyway, so I kind of knew that we were probably dealing with not a huge influx of monster trucks in our market around here for people to even be interested in doing this. So we took that into account when we created some of the classes as well, because trying to build out a class of pro mod might be difficult. If there aren't a lot of LMTs sold or other custom ones in this area, then we're going to struggle. So we raced the mini LMTs, one, because that's cheaper entry point, and yeah, it's just an easier way for people to get into it as a starting point. And that was our biggest class, was the mini LMTs. And then we did 2-wheel drive monster trucks, we did retro, and we did pro mod. Retro was only 2 of us. So John Martin, who's in here right now, And then I had trucks. There's 3 of us. I let my buddy Andy came and he ran one of them just so we could kind of show people what it was, because it's my favorite class. And if any of the classes are to grow, I want it to be I want it to be the retros. They're so fun to get, like the old school monster truck bodies, go back to your childhood and just look it up, man. Find a cool like 90s body, get a Bigfoot body, slap. I got one right there. So, slap a Bigfoot body on a Cloudbuster, lock out the rear steer, and you're good to go. Got Michigan Ice Monster up here, USA 1, all these fun old trucks that you can pull from. And they're pretty easy because you just get a square body truck and then paint it up, or there's wraps all over the place. You can get wraps from Crawford Performance. You can get wraps from JB Scale Graphics. You can get wraps from Team Blue Groove. There's all of them. Like, you don't have, and it's pretty easy because Cloudbusters are still pretty readily available. I mean, I could probably jump on Marketplace right here. Let's just do it. Let's see what we find. Let's see. Oh, that's a pretty sweet looking trailer. Oh, look at this large inflatable nightclub party tent. We should do that for racing in bad weather. Inflatable tent over a track. That'd be sweet. $2,500. Cloudbuster. Whoops, usually spaced. All right, so here's some. That's an old school one. These are 450 pre-built. Some of these people want some money. They think they own something valuable. Here we go, 240. Wow, that's super vintage. Anyway, there's definitely Cloudbusters to be had. You can buy them pre-made, but they're actually fun to build. The main building part is the axles. The rest of it's pretty simple. But you can buy, a Cloudbuster on A-Main right now for $302. Still need your radio and receiver and a servo, but it comes with motors. So if you have radios and receivers around, you can get into this pretty inexpensively. If you watch groups like SAM, Solid Axle Monster Mayhem, there's a lot of Cloudbuster groups also on. You can, like, I've bought full raced out trucks for like $500, which is expensive, but I mean, it had aftermarket chassis, it had aftermarket body, but you can also get, oh yeah, you want to get the bearings too. Good call, Dana. Yeah, but Crawford Performance, we mentioned before, Crawford Performance Engineering has a ton of stuff too for them that you can get just Cloudbuster. If you just go into their Cloudbuster links, show all, they've got all kinds of suspension parts. They've got, new grills for them, 4-link kits. Yeah. He sells part trees for them. Like, it's, it's crazy. Screw sets that he sells, bearings. Here's decal sheets right here. But they do all kinds of decal sheets. You get the arms for them. So if you just need to buy replacement stuff, I got a whole bin of just like these pieces, like these. And the main thing is he sells screws that go from the outside, because normally if you break your arm here, your carrier hub, you have to take the whole axle apart and go on the inside to put a new one on. But he sells a kit that's a little bit bigger and it taps itself in, so you can just take off the wheel and screw a new one in. Anyway, they're super fun. It's my favorite class. We did some racing with it to show just kind of the stuff we throw out on the course. I rolled it on mine, which is the whole thing. Like, I've been racing them. It's the game changer class, because somebody could be the fastest guy out there, but you never know when you hit something, what's going to happen. So, but yeah, anyway, most of them you can talk way down, says Axial 32. Which is better, Clod or LMT? Completely different ballparks. Stock Clodbuster, it's slow. You'll be putting in at least LMT money to get that thing, probably more, to be as capable as an LMT. Because you're gonna have to get a new chassis. You're gonna have to get two. It's because it's motor on axles. You have to get two brushless systems to run in it. And so yeah, it gets expensive, and then you got to tune them. So you have the yeah. But some of the fast guys, if you get a really built clod, they can kick everybody's butt. So, and the right hands and the axles, the old axles are just so durable. The internals, at least gear wise, you may break other parts, but yeah. But I prefer it for the retro side of things, going slow, keeping them slow. Like we are going to limit them to 10 miles an hour. We don't want people making them fast. And put a bunch of sorry, I just saw Xavier's comment. Put a bunch of obstacles out, make them sky wheelie, make them, yeah. That's the whole point. So if you hit those things fast, you're gonna tumble. You have to slow down, hit them, get your wheels up, land. It's like the old school monster trucks, and that's the point of it. But they do come with bushings. So if you want that extra speed on them, you definitely want to switch them out to bearings, because you can only run in the retro class 27 turn motors. But it's my favorite class to run. And yeah, it's super good. Xavier says one of my favorite classes, those obstacles are the equalizer, especially the pits. We haven't built pits yet. I did mention them at our race. But we will be making some of the pits, and we probably won't put anything in them, but you don't need to. It's the idea that you have those outer walls and you hit a jump and you get a little sideways and you get hung up on the axle on that wall. That thing can mess you up. You can go from winning to losing very quickly. And it's just, sometimes you hit it clean and it's great and you do it fast. And other times it just, even if you're good, it'll just mess you up. And so you never know at the end of the day who's going to come out the winner in that class, which is fun. I like to have one of those classes in there that just can mess you up. But going back to the racing, we'll show the group of people that showed up. So this was our mini LMT class here. So we had a bunch of them out there first time. Some of them who were in the chat, like John Airy, Heavy D, John Martin. So we had a good group out and did two different races. So we started at 10. We ran 2 races in freestyle. The races were double elimination. We had practice time for both of the racetrack setups that we had, and we were done with that by 12:30. And then we moved on to the bigger trucks. We were a little behind on starting on that. Not much, but we also realized that we didn't have much in the retro, so it was going to be okay. So we kind of let it slide a little bit on the timing of it, but we did. Well, we can show one of the. I made the mistake of doing a style of race that is difficult to film, and my poor son had to do it. Had to try and film them. Like, here's a mini LMT race right here. This was 2 maps racing. And one on the inside had some trouble at the beginning, but still came back and won it, which was pretty sweet. And then this was another of the races. But you can see the course setup. We just brought a bunch of jumps, and the area that Walter RC Park had for us was perfect. I think that was mine. Those look like one light out. That must have been one of my races. But the size of the course was perfect. Here's like a 2-wheel drive race. So we did basically the same version of racing for both the minis and the 10 scale or 8 scale, but we just scaled everything up, made it a little bit longer course, started further back, and then had a couple bigger jumps. So it was quick and fast, a little dusty, but I don't mind the dust because it does allow you to slide the corners, which is great, especially in tighter things like this. You want to be able to break that corner like that and get things going. So Overall, just a great day of racing. And here's our light setup that we ended up coming up with for it, which is using an idea from Virginia, the No Limit RC of Virginia. They have an actual like light tree that they use, but they run a DeWalt box with the tree on it. And so I use that idea in order to, and I've just bought like this red green light that they use for like warehouses and all that for their or for trucks or different things entering and exiting like different facilities. So you know if you can go or not. And so they're visible from a long distance. And we ended up moving it from where it was because the side view of the color isn't as good as straighter on. So we ended up putting it way at the back, behind Milo here by the rock garden in the back, and looked across it, which actually worked fantastic. And so we'll be doing that for future races, is having the light further away like that. It was perfect. Very visible. They're like 4-inch lights. JMRC's had a live stream of it going the whole time. And that's listed on the page as well. I keep getting onto this page for it though whenever I look at the stuff. Probably because I tagged the next event. So yeah, his live stream is up on it on the page, so you can watch it. And then Jeff Walter posted some pictures of it, so you can kind of see our setup that we had. It just we had blue and yellow lanes basically because of just the way we painted everything. And then Travis had a couple ramps he brought. And he had blue and red, so I don't know why we put the blue ramp with the yellow sign in the video. No, I didn't even see that that's what happened. Yeah, it was just a really, really good time, and I look forward to it. We're going to be racing again on the 1st. So November 1st, we're going to be at JT Hobby and Toys in Battle Creek. So there is a flyer for that on our page. So November 1st, it's going to be basically the same format, different racetrack designs. That's the nice thing about having the ramps like we're doing with these portable ones, is that we can change it up every time we show up somewhere. And then we've just got the little white dividers we made out of wood. So, but it worked good. And man, it was just an awesome time. And we're going to get to have fun doing it again here in just a little bit. But I've got Pro Line by the Fire coming up this weekend. So I'm heading out there to do some work stuff and film, and which is a bummer because I was going to be going to the NRC TPA race this weekend, but yeah, I just had to take this because it just made the most sense for me right now for what I've got going on. And but I'm bummed that I can't go racing, because after doing this, I'm super excited about monster truck racing. Just like I was when I came back from Indiana and racing again with No Limit RC. It kind of got me like pumped up about it to the point where I'm like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to start this race league. And here it is. We've got it going. And I don't know why I didn't do it when I first moved here. I think I was just overwhelmed by the idea, and I didn't know anybody up here. And so as time has kind of progressed and I've gotten to know a lot more people up here, it's made it a little bit easier to even think about it. And now we've got things rolling, and we've got lots of places interested in running the races. So that's been really cool to see. We've got like JT Hobbies. I think it's Never Enough RC in Kalamazoo. Yeah, Never Enough RC in Kalamazoo. We're talking with them about it. So they've got a store in Kalamazoo, and they do racing and other things. And so, yeah, now it's just a matter of not, it's almost like we have too many places that want to do it, to the point where I'm like, I was thinking about doing it once. So I'll find you at the Axial booth, Mike Carter says. No, we'll be out running axial trucks all weekend. So we'll be out filming them, getting them in people's hands, filming them and stuff. So you'll find me around. I'm a big guy and kind of easy to spot. heavy deal to test, dude. I'm kind of a big dude. So yeah, Xavier, was a good time. I'm hoping it'll bring more people into the side of the hobby, like you're saying, and I hope that we'll be bringing a crew to some of the bigger events. Like when we get people excited about it here and getting into the racing, when the national events happen, like in Ohio, which hopefully will continue to happen, NRC, TPA, and all that. I know they're going to keep doing the truck pulling, but this is the last year that Eric is running the monster trucks, and so unless somebody else steps in, we don't know what's happening there. So, but I'm hoping that we can get a crew of people here that will go down and do those races, or they'll go to like travel to the No Limit race or some of the big ones like they do in Pennsylvania or Kentucky. Whenever there's like the big national events that people do, I figure most of them will be driving, so we can just kind of get people together in caravan. Some of the West Coast ones would be tough, like getting everybody to fly and hotels and all that. But I'd love to go. John says he's bigger, heavy. Anyway, but yeah, getting people to travel to NorCal and SoCal would be tough. I do want to go to some of those races, but I think that there's definitely potential for some of the big ones to travel and to run them. And we try to keep our rules close enough that it shouldn't be a big change of trucks to be able to run in other groups. So that said, the hardest part is choosing the classes that we're going to run because of the market here is just different. So, I mean, eventually I would love for it to be like the sport mod style where you have to have a cage and you have to have, things that don't make it run like a pro mod. You have to put shocks on axles. You have to, more limitations because it makes them more realistic looking as far as monster trucks go. So I'd love to have a class for that. But right now it's not one where I'm like, we just don't have it. Like it'd be 2 people, 3 people. And so until we can get people excited about monster trucks and about racing and all of that, it's going to be hard to build some of those classes. And so the main classes I would love to see are the pro mod and the retro being built. But I understand also that like the cost of those is higher than say like the 2-wheel drive class for Stampedes and Gorgons. And so you can buy them for under $300 and just come and race. Same with the mini LMTs. We had a pro class available, but nobody showed up with pro mod minis. So then it's like, well, do we just now say, well, let's do a Gorgon and Granite class in Quake where you can bring those like truggy style little minis and run that same course that we already set up because they're kind of monster trucky anyway. We want people to come out and do it. One easy thing would be to do if you do have pro mod to be like, all right, let's do 2.2. And then, but at some point I feel like I'm just charging people more to run the same trucks with just different tires on it. And I don't know. I mean, it does give you more race time and more potential to win something because you're racing more, but like that's mega trucks the same way. Now we run mega trucks. Well, we just take off our big tires on our LMTs and put the mega truck tires on them and call it a mega truck. We don't change out our bodies or whatever. You could do a son of a digger mega truck, or you could, so it'd be an easy way to run more classes, but we're not really running different trucks, which is good and bad because 1, you don't have to buy more trucks. You can run the same truck, which is different tires. But 2, you could break your truck easier because it's being run more and you may not be able to compete in other classes. So it's tough. It's tough. Like I guess that's the point. As we grow it, we'll just kind of do polls and weigh it out with the people that we're running with. Because there doesn't seem to be a huge differentiation between some of those classes and what the requirements are. And so that does open it up for easy switch over and running, not having to bring more than 2 trucks, but just bring a bunch of tires. that's pretty great. But yeah, I don't know. Listen for the voice, JMRC says. My voice? I do have kind of a weird voice. I get told that I sound like John C. Reilly from Step Brothers and Wreck-It Ralph. Like people will say in the videos, dude, it sounds like Wreck-It Ralph's talking. But yeah. John Airy says he's spreading the word. Yeah, and we've got some people, I think, from like Flinton that want to come out at some. You know, it all comes down to timing and all of that, I'm sure. But Tool Time says he's excited for the new Reefs release at Pro Line by the Fire. Oh, I'll have to watch their live stream and find out more about that. But yeah, we're gonna keep racing them, and we're getting ready. We're kind of just working on getting people excited about it so that in 2026 we can start a race series that will then at the end have a world finals. That's not really a world finals. It's just our like championship race. That'll be our point series end, but that's also the one where if people are going to come from other race clubs, that's the one they come to. You have trophies for that race day itself, but then also trophies for the people that won for the season. So I think, yeah, I don't think our points from that day are going to count toward the season. We'll have to decide that, or not, because you have a lot of other people in it. Throws a wrench into points, but also, I don't know. I don't want to be tabulating it all up that day for the figuring out who gets the awards. I think it'll just be our awards ceremony for it, but then also a big race off to have people come in. But will people come in if it's not needed for the, I don't know. Those are things we have to figure out. Luckily, we have a little bit of time to figure it out. We are talking with a few people about potentially running a winter series of races, which would be indoors. So there's one place that did reach out that does have a potential indoor area coming in. And if we did that, it would be every month there for the winter, and we'd do a whole series of it for the winter. But then what I'm thinking of for potentially the spring, and I guess if we do a winter series, we'll really find out. But if people are really interested, and we have a lot of different shops on the south side of Grand Rapids that want to do it, we might do a whole like a southwest kind of series, and then kind of like a south and a north series. Because I have a couple places up near Grand Rapids, more east of Grand Rapids, east of Grand Rapids, that want to do them. But I don't want to if I have so many shops that want to do it, then I'd only end up at each one time. And it's hard to have people make a dedicated space for us and only go there one time. So if they're going to commit to making a space for us to race them, I feel like we need to commit to racing there a couple times, at least in a series. So when you have too many, that becomes difficult. But the thought would be maybe I would just run two series. I'd run a South series and a North series, and so basically be racing twice a month. Some people might only show up for the South series. Some people might only show up for the North series. And then what we do is for the final, we'd have everybody come together and race. And in that case, that would be the point series. That would be for their the final points, but then also would be a thing where who is going to be the champion that day. So anyway, I mean, all this stuff's happening. So it really comes, it's all happening fast, but it's all like stuff now I have to think about because it's happening so fast, and there's definitely interest for it. So that's the thing. So again, we had a pretty good turnout for how many people we have. We didn't have the same amount of trucks as some of the other leagues do because multiple people bring multiple trucks. So whenever I'd race Pro Mod, I would show up with 2 or 3, right? And that was a lot of people that would do that. They would enter 2 or 3 trucks. All of ours only entered 1. That's not true. There was one guy that brought 2 of the 2-wheel drive, Nathaniel. But everybody else ran 1 truck in each class. And, it's one of those things where as you do it more, you build out more so you can have more race time and whatever and more chance at winning. That's what happens. So anyway, as that builds out, we'll have more trucks entered, but we had, like I said, we had a decent turnout of people, which was great to see. I'll throw up the pictures here again because I didn't go through them all. But yeah, we had a decent turnout of the amount of people for the classes. This one was freestyle, so we had a tie for third. Pro Mod Race 1. I think this was mini freestyle. This was Pro Mod Race 2. Got beat by my own truck in that retro class. And then two-wheel drive. This was mini race 2. Two-wheel drive, race 1. And so these were all of our larger scale racers. But again, you show up to other races, it's about this many people. It's just that a lot of times they bring a lot of trucks. And so we were all bringing one, and this was the mini LMT, the first race. So, the days will be different when we get, more trucks and all that. But again, I'm excited for the amount of people we had turn out, and I think it's a great start because, as you do it more, you realize, I'm going to get another truck because I could get a better one. But you don't stop racing your other one because you have it still. So, yeah. See, Death 1313, the judging for freestyle was done by just people that were in the crowd. I took out little scorecards and they flipped them and showed their score, what they thought it was. So it was just pretty random. We need the Toro Mini LMT. Yeah. People make a bunch of stuff. You can get a lot of 3D printed stuff now for the beanies, which is great. And they do it in the flexible print stuff. I've got like a Kraken coming, which I'm excited about. And I actually paid to have it painted. So if you guys saw my video on Jessica Dahl, she was at the World Finals, the actual World Finals of Monster Jam, where we run the races in the pit party. And she had the Sparkle Smash with the horn that would shoot the confetti out of it, which was so cool. Anyway, she does painting for a lot of these bodies, and I had Michael Letcher make the body for me, and then she's painting it. So I sent her the one that I wanted. I don't know if hopefully there wasn't a ton of photos of it, but I think it was, I sent her the red, white, and blue version of the Kraken because I haven't seen other people running that one. So yeah. But there's certain ones that you can get the bodies from. So the one that we had of the El Toro Loco was one of the bodies from the toy Spin Masters that they just took off and put over an old Stampede, which turned out pretty cool the way he mounted it. You get the cage look and all that on the Stampede, which looked, I thought, pretty cool. For a two-wheel drive truck, it made it look pretty cool. Bradley Whitman, comps for SCX30 in 2026. I think so. I think you're going to see some people do it. I don't know that our group's going to do it. But all that a competition is, and that is just people getting together and basically challenging each other to do better on a certain setup than somebody else. It's the same as racing. Like, I could have done what we did there, and we have done it actually. We've done it in my front yard with the minis. I've had Will over and I've had Travis over. We went over to our friends Milo and Matt's house with Will and my boys, and we raced the Groms, and then we raced the mini LMTs, and we actually have a video of that already up as I was building out the graphics package for. Well, I used it to build the graphics package. We didn't do it for that reason. We just happened to let's just do races, and then I said, well, I got a bracket thing on my phone. Let's run races. And so we did, and it turned out pretty cool. I'm trying to find the video of it real quick here so you can see what it looked like. In the backyard. Here it is. The graphic stuff for it, getting nameplates and all that. If you're listening online, you'd have to jump onto the video and see it. Yeah, we started by racing Groms and just having fun. I bought the timing system for that, and then we decided to race the mini LMPs because we all had them. And then I also have like 5 of them, so if people don't have them, I have them. It was really fun. We were doing it like they do in Monster Jam. After the race, we'd back up to the the back wall just like they do with the real trucks. They finish the race, and then they go and park them up against the wall, and then the next one come out. I actually would love to do that with the real ones, but here's some of the graphic stuff that I designed for doing it. And so that's all set. Now I just have to put names in. One of the things that we'll see change as well over time, I'm sure, will be there's a lot of son of a diggers and a lot of megalodons. And so, people as they get into it more and want to either make their own custom bodies, and give it a name, or run trucks that other people don't have, we'll see that. So I do realize I do need to change up my design because I did red and blue, and I think I needed to do yellow, and I don't know why I did that. I did red lane and blue, but we have yellow. It would make more sense when you're seeing the trucks on certain lanes to have the colors. So I guess it doesn't matter because it's just left and right. I was going with the red, white, and blue of the logo. That's what's playing off of more than anything. Of the West Michigan monster trucks. Where's the graphics? Yeah, so I was just using the colors exactly out of the logo is what I'd done. But it does seem like with the yellow and the blue lanes, it would have made more sense to do that. But whatever. Good enough. Need a King of RC livery. I don't hate that idea. I may have to work with somebody to see if we can make that happen. Kind of like that Cletus livery that was done. That was pretty sweet. So anyway, well, I think we're going to wrap up here. It's been a very long episode for those of you guys that are just listening at work. Hopefully most of it isn't too reliant on the video that you don't see, but I tried my best to explain what I could, and we thank you for tuning in. We'll be back at you with more, probably a Bro Line by the Fire wrap up when I get back. Have fun RCing, guys. We'll catch you next time.